Hey guys, HW. I'm out at Sydney Domestic Airport. I'm heading down to what us New South Welshmen call Mexico. I'm heading down to Victoria. Heading down to Melbourne for the day. Down to one of my old stomping grounds. You might remember from some of the videos I've done before that I have lived in Melbourne before. So today I'm hoping to get down there and go through. Yeah, so I feel like death. It's still dark. Had to get up at 4:30 in the morning. Stayed at Coogee last night so I could be a bit closer to the airport. I feel like my body's decayed. I've only had a few hours sleep. Flight board's at 6:10. And punters are still arriving at the airport behind me over here. I'll get down to the gate and I'll show you I'm only going down there for the day, but it's going to be a long day. We're going to look at a lot of different places while we're down there. I'm going to do a bit of reminiscing and go to a few places that I used to live, used to work when I lived down there. And we'll get around and have a few nectars and a few bites to eat as well. So I'm inviting you to come along and come and get around Melbourne with me. Pretty small writing, hope you can read it. QF 405 I'm looking for the departure. Oh, there it is. QF 405 to Melbourne. Scheduled at 6:30, board at 6:10. Gate 7. Pretty dead in the terminal here. In the Qantas terminal. This whole part of the domestic airport is owned by Qantas. Across the way there's Virgin and Rex. None of these shops are open yet. It's too early. There's only a few newsagents open. Haven't found anywhere to get a coffee yet. For those of you planning to come to Sydney from overseas, the two terminals, so the domestic terminal and the international terminal, are not connected in any way. There's no tunnel, there's no walkway. It's a fair distance between the two. So the only way to get from an international flight and then over to a domestic transfer is you've got to get on a transfer bus, which are provided free of charge between the two different terminals. There's a place to have coffee. But I'm going to refrain. I'm going to hit the coffee shop when I get to Melbourne, I think. Oh, there's one of those newsagents that I mentioned. That's open. So you can get your packs of gum, newspaper to read, or a book or a magazine in there. And let's get out the back and see what options are open for food and drink. See if there's anything open. Looks like Sumo Salad's open. We'll be having a salad this early in the morning. Red Rooster's closed. Mad Max is closed. At Velocity over there's open. So you can get yourself a nectar over there. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you on the flight. Oh, hold the phone, Roach. There's a Toby's estate open up there. Now, if I was desperate for a coffee this early in the morning, I'd probably grab one over there. Let's go to that window over there and see what we can see outside. There's some more taxis and Ubers making their way up to Qantas terminal here. Across the way, and you can see dawn starting to show its face in the sky. That's the Virgin terminal over there. As with most airports, it's departures up the top and arrivals down the bottom. Let me do the weather observations quickly. In Sydney today, it's going to be 25 degrees Celsius with the wind from the southeast. Looks quite cloudy though. And Melbourne, my destination's 24 degrees Celsius today, and the wind from the west. If you're interested, the flight was just over an hour and it was pretty smooth. I had a spare seat next to me. There was refreshments served on the flight, even though it was only an hour. We were served mini quiches, water, soft drink, tea, coffee. So a lot better service than what you get in the US, travelling around the US. There's no way you'd get decent refreshments like that for such a short flight. But I suppose Sydney to Melbourne is the premium route in Sydney, though, the busiest one. Now my next task is to find the bus that I'm catching into the city. Oh, I'm aboard the Skybus. It's one of the cheaper ways to get into Melbourne City from the airport. It's $40 return or $20 each way. So a lot cheaper than I think I saw somewhere that it was like 50 plus one way with the taxis. So I thought I'd save a bit of coin catching the Skybus. And hopefully being a bus, it gets a bit of right of way on the road as well.
So great.
Alright, just stepped out of Southern Cross Station. That Skybus was alright. Fully recommend. As I said before, $20 one way or $40 return. I took the $40 return. Booked it last night online. It just gives you a barcode that you scan with the attendant when you get there. Just walking up Bourke Street now. given the number of people waiting at the tram stop and given how cold it is. I'm just in shorts and a t-shirt. I should have learnt. I did live down here for a while. I know what the weather's like. So I think I might walk up to the city and then get my bearings from there. First thing I'm going to do is head straight to Duke's Coffee Roasters. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. And I'm going to pick up one of those, alright mate. And I'm going to pick up one of those Lune croissants, the famous croissants, and have that with the coffee before I make my way over to the next destination after that. So typical Melbourne day so far, grey and cold. So apparently Elizabeth Street here, there's no trams at the moment because there's a major police operation underway. Don't know what's happening, find out later in the news. But let's check out the old Bourke Street Mall. Can already see the Maya sign up there. Shopped in there a few times when I lived down here. To get on the other side of the road, or the other side of the tram tracks. To get a good crack at what it looks like now. Yeah, there it is. The old Maya store on Bourke Street. Just how I remember it. And we can't forget David Jones right next door. There are people out taking photos of these old stores, these grand old stores. I don't think I mentioned earlier today, this is going to be a long video. So grab yourself a nectar, get comfortable, because you're going to be in for the long haul. At the intersection with Swanston Street up here, I remember standing here one day for quite a while with a crowd, waiting for the Melbourne Cup parade to come past. All the old horses walked past and the jockeys and the trainers in open top cars. That brings back some memories. I have a look at the people doing hook turns here. You got to come over to the left before you turn right so that you don't hold up the tram if it comes through. I remember doing those at this very intersection over the years. Later, after I get this coffee and croissant down my gullet, I'm going to show you where I used to work. I'm going to show you where I used to live. We're going to get on the tram to go to some of these spots as well. It's going to be good. Alright, we're on Russell Street, making our way down to Lune, which I believe is just here. And we're going to grab ourselves one of the famous croissants. If you don't know about Lune, an ex-engineer, a lady, she went over to France and studied with the best pastry chefs over there, perfected the art of making croissants, and brought it back to Australia. And apparently the New York Times rates it the best croissant in the world. So HW's got to try one. Now they did just recently open the store in Sydney, the first one in Sydney. But the punters are lined up down the street for days for that one. So I thought, seeing I was in Melbourne, I'd try one of the originals. Even today there's a queue of punters waiting for the delicious croissants. Oh, I've secured the famous croissant. Here it is here. $7. It'll want to be bloody good. But let's go and source the nectar now. Alright, we're getting closer now. Just walking down Flinders Lane. Getting closer to my favourite Duke's Coffee Roasters. I'll just cross over the road to get a squeeze of it first. And have a look at the punters lining up. There it is. What I like about this is very Harry Potter-esque, I reckon. It's very Diagon Alley. So let's get over there, secure a flat white. Can you see the skilled baristas in there, pulling the coffees? Alright, I've just had a little stroll down the road and I'm going to consume this coffee from Duke's and the delicious croissant here on the banks of the Yarra River. There's Southbank over there. Coach yelling out to the girls to get ready for their rowing exercise here. Alright, let's get into this Lune croissant. Best croissant in the world, apparently. There it is in all its glory. It's not really big, is it? Let's give it a try. Wow, it actually is pretty good. Wow. Yeah, it's a good croissant. Look at that sucker. Yes. So flaky, look. All flaking off. Yes. On the banks of the Yarra River. Don't know whether you can see under the bridge there, but you can see the MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground in the distance. Let me polish off this croissant and coffee. I'll join you again in a sec. Alright, Duke's coffee and Lune croissant consumed. By the way, that bridge just there, that's St Kilda Road up there. And we're going to get down there later in the day as well. But for now, let's just have a little walk down here. And then we'll get up onto St Kilda Road. And might walk back into the city and start off by having a look at my old workplace. And it'll also give us an opportunity to check out Lonsdale Street, which back in the day had plenty of Greek establishments. Obviously Melbourne, the second biggest Greek city outside of Athens, I believe. Or maybe just second biggest city outside of Greece. There they go. Good exercise, the old rowing. Let's get up these stairs here. Lady down here setting up her little stall ready to welcome punters onto the river cruises down the Yarra. Probably a few Christmas cruises. Oh no, we'll go this way. I don't want to really spend any time in Federation Square, but we'll have a squeeze at the Christmas tree as we go past. There it is, a bit of a modern one. Kids playing on these bow swings. Did I catch a glimpse of Flinders Street station when I went past before? I don't think I did I? There she is there. Oh, this guy behind us with all the language. I think the only word he has in his vocabulary is the F word. Now this corner brings back memories. This is the corner of Bourke Street and Russell Street. And that red awning that you can see there, that's for Hungry Jack's, Burger King equivalent. Now back in the day, this was Grand Central for the heroin addicts. This is where they'd come to get their hit. I don't know whether that's still the case or not. It still looks pretty grimy around here, so it may be, but back in the day when I was living here, if you came walking through here at night, there was druggies everywhere. And where that Easy Mart is on the corner over there, one night I walked through and there was a drug dealer chasing another drug dealer with a big, long, telescopic weapon that he had with like sharp edges on the end of it, and he was slashing at the guy on the corner over there chasing after him. There was blood everywhere. It was horrendous. The Hungry Jack's logo still on the side of the building there. But let's keep walking. We'll get up Russell Street and then we'll turn into Lonsdale when we come across it. Might even walk past the old bank that I used to use But actually I don't think it was in Russell Street, I think it was in Exhibition Street. So maybe we'll walk up Little Bourke Street to get there. While we're here, we might also have a look through the gates. This is Chinatown in Melbourne, Little Bourke Street. So let's have a little walk through here. You can see the red lanterns above. Used to come here for lunch nearly every weekend. One of the restaurants along here, I don't know which one it was, but one of them had like a lunch special where you'd get especially on a cold day, you'd get this like chicken corn soup to start, and then you'd have like 3 or 4 dishes on top of that with rice, and it was quite a delight. I don't want to get my reflection. There's ladies over there making dumplings by the looks of things. Now, don't ask me what restaurant it was, I wouldn't have a clue. It was too long ago. Maybe if I walk past it I'll get a flashback. I'm sort of getting a feeling that it was one of these ones. One of those ones. Might have even been that one there. But it's out of business, it's gone. So telltale Chinatown, laneways everywhere, alleyways everywhere, with restaurants and various establishments. They've even got some nutcrackers up with their lines here at this gate. Oh, here we are outside Her Majesty's Theatre. They got Beauty and the Beast playing at the moment, and this is Exhibition Street. Another street that I used to regularly traverse as I made my way to and from work. I don't recognise any of those actors up there. I don't know whether they've imported a cast in from America or whether they've found locals, I don't know. Well, somewhere along here was the bank that I used to use. It was a Bank of Melbourne. This is one of these buildings here. I think it was this one just here. Yeah, I think it was in there, but it's gone. I used to come in there and deposit the daily takings. And when I get up to the building I used to work at, I'll explain. Or maybe this was the bank here. Actually, it might have been this one here. Let me have a look inside. No, that's not it. Alright, here we are in Lonsdale Street. Here it is. Here's the building I used to work in when I lived in Melbourne. Back in those days I was working for an internet service provider. And I was actually 2IC. And I volunteered to come down and get Melbourne back on its feet because it wasn't performing very well. The guy that was running it at the time actually got really sick, and unfortunately he ended up passing away. But I felt like a bit of a holiday, a change from Sydney, so I volunteered to come down here and got the sales back on the trajectory that we needed. And then after being here for a year or so, I wanted to move back to Sydney, so they told me to automate it, retrench the staff, and it just became an automated pop. We had a local electrician that would come in and restart the servers if they ever went down, and the rest was done remotely. There used to be a massive satellite dish on the roof. Now, if I remember rightly, this laneway here, but just before we get to that, just here underneath, there was a milk bar, a cafe, and it had mad sausage rolls. And it was the result of those sausage rolls that I put on some weight really quickly when I first moved down here, and I had to give the sausage rolls away, but they were homemade ones, and they're absolutely awesome. Yeah, this brings back memories. Now, yeah, what I was saying was, I'm pretty sure you can get through the laneway here, because I used to walk through here all the time. And get into the streets behind. I wonder if it's still open. Just to come through this door here sometimes as well. Yes, it's still open. There you go. And now we're coming out the back of the old, on the right-hand side, back in the day, and then it's been turned into a hotel. I think this is the spot. Yeah, but that old office block back there, wow. That was back in the day. Yeah, brings you out onto Little Bourke Street. And you can get down into Chinatown, or if you went this way, you used to come across there used to be a Greek restaurant up here. I wonder if it's still there. It doesn't look like it. But yeah, I was raving on about that hotel, wasn't I? Let me see if it's still there. Is that it? I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, Golden House. That's it. And actually one of the first times I came to Melbourne before I moved down here to do a bit of a reconnaissance, I actually stayed in there. There was a beautiful restaurant inside as well. Yeah, it's a great little hotel, that one. Just walking on the other side of Lonsdale Street again and passing my old office building over there where the sign says turnkey fitted office space. But I didn't explain, it was an internet service provider, and we used to have a sign up desk up in the office where the general public could come in and sign up for internet access. And so, as such, we carried a bit of cash because Melbourne's full of students, and they all wanted to sign up on the internet to speak to their relatives back in mainland China, and back it was mainly mainland China back in those days. And so I used to have to go down on the corner of Exhibition Street and deposit the money, and I used to do it. I didn't do it every day, I used to do it every couple of days. And this brings back memories as well. I think we're getting pretty close to where Telstra's head office was. I think it's directly above these buildings here. Oh my God, look at that. That flight centre's still there. Wow. So this flight centre here, but back when I was living here, I don't think it was called Flight Centre. I think it was had another name. But I actually booked a holiday in there. Booked a holiday to Europe in that. Oh wow, and this copy shop's still here as well. So actually, for the internet service provider back there, I actually came in here and got some really big banners made up and printed in this copy shop. But again, I can't remember whether it was called Quick Copy back then or whether it was called something else. But it was definitely a copy shop. Or a printing shop, if you want to call it that. Here we go, here's the Telstra, or the start of it. Yeah, there's the Telstra building there. Wow, I can already see from here, it looks like the this part of Lonsdale Street that used to have all the Greek restaurants is no more. Looks like they're all gone. Oh, there you go, my memory's poor. The Greek restaurants haven't disappeared, they're just further down, as I said. Here's the first one, and there's actually, like, it tells you here that this is the Greek Quarter, and then you got some Greek, like a Greek totem pole almost over there, or Greek obelisk, or... So the Greek restaurants are still here. Ah, we're saved. This one's gone though. Greek cakes. This Greek shop here, it's got the Parthenon and everything in here. Some evil eye trinkets up on the wall there. Yeah, I think a few years back when I was came here for work, I ate at that restaurant on the corner there. I love Greek food. It's delicious. I like most food. But look, there you go. I didn't go off too half-cocked. There's not that many left. There's a few. Just on the corner here of Lonsdale Street and Swanston Street, where this QV shopping centre is now, pretty sure there used to be a skate park there, because I used to walk down past those Greek restaurants and cafes up there, and I used to catch the tram out to St Kilda over there. I don't know whether there's still a tram stop there or not. I'm going to have a look in a second. I might have to turn the corner here into Swanston to jump on the tram, but that's where I used to catch the tram from, because I used to watch the kids on their skateboards on the corner there. So it's definitely changed a bit, and look, some of these high rises, I don't remember them. I'm on the 16 tram to Kew, and I'm going to jump off at a couple of spots that I lived on here on St Kilda Road when I was down here. But first we're going to get past the Domain, and then we'll be a bit closer to the first stop. So this is the first place I lived in when I moved down here. It was at 416 St Kilda Road in the city condos, and I was up on the 11th floor. wherever that is. It's one of those ones up there. And I remember when I moved in, the year that I moved down, it was really hot. It was a hot summer. And I was furious hearing the trams coming down St Kilda Road here, because the window would be open. It didn't have air conditioning. And the trams would be always scraping down the tracks. And then the ding, 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 ding. He used to keep me awake. Drove me nuts. But yeah, there it is, city condos. That's the first joint I stayed in. Stayed there for a while. And across the road here, this collection of shops on the other side of the tram tracks there. There used to be a McDonald's over there, I remember. It doesn't look like it's there anymore. Although, might be jumping the gun a bit. I think it was like towards the corner. Looks like the Subway's still there. Is there a McDonald's as well? Yes, there is. The McDonald's is still there. There you go. McDonald's and Subway. Still there after all these years. Alright, I'm going to jump on the tram again and get a bit further down St Kilda Road. And here we are. This is the last place I lived in Melbourne, the Boulevarde at 632 St Kilda Road. Now this one I was on the 3rd floor, but I was at the back. I was at the back overlooking the Prix Circuit. And we'll get around there in a minute and have a look at that. But I can't remember whether I was in the South Tower or the North Tower. That's the only thing I can't remember. I think it was the South Tower. Yeah, it was. It was the South Tower. And I was overlooking the swimming pool as well. But this was my favourite because it didn't have the noise. Being at the back, it didn't have the noise of the tram tracks out here on St Kilda Road. Now, I've just spied another haunt across the road over there. A pub that I used to go to called the Pint on Punt, I think it was called, on Punt Road. So I'm going to get over there and check out whether that's still there. I assume it's still there. Let's have a look. Just while we're here on the corner of Fitzroy Street and St Kilda Road, this building here, this used to be the Cadbury Building. I don't know what it is now. Obviously Cadbury's moved out. Their signage has gone off the top. But yeah, that used to be the Cadbury Building. That 7-Eleven's always been there. That's been a fixture for a long time. But looking across the road, what used to be the Pint on Punt, the pub that I used to go to, it's changed its name. It's now called the Windsor Ale House. But yeah, that used to be the Pint on Punt over there. It never used to have that seating out the side there. That seating on the side there, that wasn't there. But yeah, I used to booze up in there, and then sometimes I'd walk across to the 7-Eleven here and grab one of those chicken heroes that you heat up in the microwave. But I remember one particular story about that 7-Eleven there. I came out of the pub one night, walked in there, and there was a guy at the back where they had a rotisserie for the hot dogs, and he was off his face, drunk, and he was standing there wolfing down hot dogs, one after another, out of the gaze of the shop attendant, and he must have downed about 10 hot dogs, and then he only went up and paid for one. And I don't know whether he was just so drunk and hungry that he did that, or whether he deliberately did it so that he'd have an up and under and get the alcohol out of his system. Yeah, this is really bringing back memories now. I'd go to the pub there and then have a steak and a few lagers, and then I'd play chicken on the road here, get across back to the Boulevard and up into my apartment, which was on level 3. But now we're going to get around the side of this Cadbury building, down Fitzroy Street, and we'll check out St Kilda Junction and St Kilda Beach. I had a view of this cricket oval here as well from my apartment block, which you can see next to the old Cadbury building there. But that City Power Centre over there wasn't built when I lived here. This hotel on the corner here, 169 Fitzroy Street. It used to be called something else. Don't ask me what it was called. But you used to be able to come there on a Saturday night and see a live band. And I saw that a couple of times when I was living down here. And now it's called Harvey's. If anyone remembers what it was called, put it down in the comments. But here we are in Fitzroy Street. So we'll get a bit further down there and I'll check out some of the old restaurants and cafes I used to go to down there. I think this Gatwick private hotel was pretty infamous back in the day. So it's been fully done up now though. It was that one, wasn't it? I think that was the hotel. Just looking across to some of the cafes and restaurants across the road, I don't recognise any of them. So I may not find the restaurant that I ate in last along here. I think it may have been further up over there. I think it was over there on that stretch, but I'm not sure. So much has changed. I remember it was a real yuppie joint. It used to have like red colours inside and like dimly lit. It's quite expensive, but I can't see it. I think I already walked past it. But while we're here, let's go and have a look at St Kilda Beach. Oh, there she is. There's St Kilda Beach, Port Phillip Bay, St Kilda Beach Pier there, people taking a stroll up and down there. It's no Bondi Beach, is it? As a little jab for the Melburnians. But look, it's a nice spot. Melbourne City in the background over there. Now I have to find a cooler spot where I can sit down, probably have some lunch, have a coffee, and I've got to recharge my batteries because I'm running low. This is an unexpected treat. Just wanted to take a walk through Albert Park and I stumble across the guys getting the grandstands ready for the Australian Grand Prix, which is in March. Getting the seats ready up there, the fencing. These guys have come down to photograph some of the pits. It used to be that it was the last race of the season, but now it's one of the first races. If you've never been to a Grand Prix, get yourself along. I remember the first time I watched one, when they came past at full speed, I thought there's no way there's a human being in that. It was unbelievable how fast they were going. I'm on the corner of Leicester Street and Elizabeth Street and also Victoria Street, just across the road from the Victoria Markets. I don't think they're open today, and I wouldn't want to go in there anyway. I've been in there a few times before. But while I'm in Leicester Street is I'm on the hunt for another coffee, another nectar. I had some lunch in the city before a Malaysian joint. I needed to charge the batteries, so I couldn't film it. But I just had some like beef curry and rice for lunch. So now I'm on the hunt for the afternoon nectar, and I'm coming to a place recommended called Seven Seeds. I've got to try to find it. I have no idea where it is. Got to avoid that building site there. Got a feeling it might be further up the road here. At least the sun came out, and I could feel it when I was in Albert Park before. Could feel my neck getting scorched. So I'll be desperate to, once I get past this construction zone, to get into the shade. It's quite pleasant walking along in the shade with the warm air from the sun blowing through. There's a guy with a coffee. Hopefully I haven't walked past it. No wonder I didn't find it. I'm in the wrong street. I've got to go to Bourke Street. Tell you what, when I was walking through the city in the morning, there was a few punters around heading to work, but boy, when lunchtime came along and the sun came out, the masses erupted out onto the streets of Melbourne. Here's Bourke Street. So hopefully the coffee shop's up here somewhere. Some nice old school warehouses across the road. So the map said that I was almost upon it, and I was freaking out. I'm looking on this side of the road, I go, I don't see it. And then I look at the other side of the road, and I see those blue umbrellas. And I go, you beauty, I finally found it. 7 Seeds. Let's get in there and taste this delicious nectar. See how it goes against my favourite Dukes. This looks very groovy, little warehouse style one. Got the stadium seating there, look. I've ordered a single origin from Ethiopia. I'll wait for the baristas to bring it over. Now, this is a groovy little place, I like it. And while we wait for that to come, we'll stare out through the bars of this very rustic old window from this old warehouse. in Melbourne town. Or dare we say old Melbourne town. Oh, look at that little chicken there, painted on the wall. Here's some of the coffee they've got on offer in bags that you can take home. Got one called a Golden Gate here. I like the sound of that. They got one called a F-bomb. And they got the house blend. Got two versions of the house blend. And then they got this Esperanza special. They've even got the merch. You can, if you like the coffee, you can get yourself a t-shirt. Oh, the Ethiopian filtered coffee is here. Look at that big mug of goodness. Let's taste it. Cheers. Now I've got to get the little picture I took so that I can tell you what notes I can taste in it. So apparently it's from, this is probably the farm, Habtemu Fakadu, Ethiopia, I think that's how you pronounce it. Apparently it's got crisp, fresh notes of peach, guava, and sorbet. I can definitely taste the peach straight off. I can't taste the guava, but I get a little bit of a feeling of the sorbet at the end. Now, apparently this is growing at an altitude of between 2,073 and 2,300 miles above sea level. So not kilometres, miles. Geez, that is high up. Is that right? Miles? Geez, that's a big mountain. Yes, 7 seeds. That Ethiopian filtered coffee was an absolute triumph. If you're in Melbourne, maybe you're down here on a Saturday morning and you want to go around the Victoria markets, stop in there at 7 Seeds first before you walk down the street and go to the markets. That's a winner, that coffee shop. Just making my way down to, I think, Queensbury down here. And then I'm going to make my way over to Lygon Street. I've got to check out my old eating haunt, my evening eating haunt in Lygon Street before I depart Melbourne. But also on the agenda, I've got to try to make it over to Richmond and Toorak, or Toorak/Paran. Just before we turn into Lygon Street, have a look at this ye old laneway here with the cobblestones. This is called Little Queensbury Street. Have a go of it. It's got the sort of irrigation channel in the middle. You could imagine a horse and carriage coming down here back in the day. I don't know if you can see that building in the distance, but have a look at the gold bridge between the two towers. I'll have to look up what that building is and put it in the text, if I can remember. But anyway, here's Lygon Street. Always known for the restaurants on both sides of the road. Now I mainly know it as a place to come and get Italian food, but I can see there's a lot of other nationalities represented in Lygon Street now. I might flip off the camera until I actually hit the Italian part of Lygon Street. So just from this strip here where this park is, which is called Argyle Square, so pretty much from here onwards is where I used to always eat, in an Italian place, and it was mostly always on that side of the road. That side of the road over there. So let's head over there and see if I can recognise any of the old joints that I used to go to. These nutcrackers they've got in the centre of Lygon Street. Gives it a good Christmassy feel. Yeah, that La Spaganetta or Spaghettata or whatever. I've definitely eaten in there before. Definitely remember that one. A few people smashing the pasta now in there. It's not really lunch or dinner right now, so places are going to be pretty quiet. It looks like a few of the Italian places have disappeared as well, because there was definitely a few more along here that I went to. May have even been in that one before too, that Il Gusto, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, Lygon Street, come here for evening, it's packed and lively. There's people smashing food on both sides of the street. Also, when you walk along here overnight, they have people outside trying to spruik your business and get you into the establishment. Actually, both of those. I think I've been to both of those, one side by side. I remember that 7-Eleven on the corner. Went in there to get sundries a few times. Alright, new plan. I got on the wrong tram on the way out to Toorak and ended up in somewhere I had no idea where I was. So I just gave up and got back on the tram and headed back towards the city. The new plan is going to be I'm abandoning Toorak, Paran, and I'm just going to go to Tourist Central, Southbank, because my feet are killing me. It's hot, it's peak hour, everything's slowed down. I just want to have an ice cream or a gelato in Southbank, and then I'm going to walk over to Southern Cross Station and get on the airport bus, and it'll be sayonara Melbourne. Tell you, well, actually I'll wait until I get to the ice cream shop before I divulge a bit more on my musings about Melbourne in the modern day. So here I am in Cups and Cones in Southgate, which is really tourist central, but I'd had enough today. I just keep on getting scorched in this sun. And as soon as peak hour started, in true Melbourne style, everything just became a big shit show. There's cars everywhere, everything's moving so much slower, time's ticking away. There was no way I was going to have time to get around to all the places I wanted to. So I'm going to enjoy this gelato. I got rum and raisin and mint chocolate. And then I'm going to skedaddle over to the station and get over to the airport, because I've had enough. My feet are absolutely killing. I wore my running shoes today, but it hasn't made much difference. But yeah, to the musings on Melbourne. So yeah, they haven't learnt. 5 o'clock comes and everyone tries to get out of the city at the same time. So the roads just become clogged. But the other big gripe that I have with Melbourne, they've still got really old trams that don't have any air conditioning. And they've been having like 30 plus days down here like we have in Sydney. And so the trams, like, think of the worst smelling locker room you can think of and times that by 10, and that's what their trams smell like. It's like BO Central. It absolutely stinks. You can hardly breathe when you get on some of them. So no aircon on some of the trams, some of the older ones. Horrendous. Can you imagine the seats? People sweating all over them. Oh, yuck. And that's another thing. I've had enough. I've got to get off the trams today. So I'm going to walk over to the station and say goodbye to Melbourne. I hope you enjoyed it anyway, like some of the places that we did get around to. I didn't get around to everywhere that I wanted to, but them's the breaks. So I'll see you again soon. So, ice cream consumed, smashed down real quick. So as we look down the Yarra River and we look at some of the paraphernalia for Christmas, a Christmas tree, the big Merry Christmas sign there. It probably looks alright when it's lit up, but it's still daylight. Well, thank you for coming on a little skirt around HW's Melbourne from yesteryear. And I'll see you in the next vid. The video is over. Just before my battery runs out, let me make the Americans jealous. When we get on our planes here, we don't have to take our shoes off. And this morning at Sydney, I didn't even have to take my electronic stuff out of my bag. Get around that.